What's going on, everybody? Welcome to our show, Option Forward. I'm your boy, Drew. Always joined by the second half of the show, GQ Nelson. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. Just trying to start new things. Waking up every day with a lot of gratitude. I think it's a great way to start, and I'm definitely grateful for having awesome guests today. So let's. I'm pretty excited. Let's see what's gonna transpire from all this.
All right, most definitely. What I thought about, and before, as I introduce our guest today, is from the outside looking in, you never really know what someone is going through. You can see the smiles, you can see the positive energy, but deep down inside, there's always a story behind the mask, if you want to think of it that way. And today we have a guest that has a wonderful story to share, the ups and the downs, and how you actually can maintain being triumphant, in whatever struggles that we deal with on a daily basis. But let's just get to it. Everybody, welcome to the show, Miss Stella. How you doing today?
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me. This is exciting.
For sure. So, I hear a little bit of an accent. Where are you from?
I'm originally from Soviet Union.
Okay.
Left a while ago, actually a long time ago, but I was born in 1975 in Soviet Union, and now it is Ukraine.
All right. So, coming out here to America, how did that happen? Well, actually, before we even get to that, so how was it out there? What was your experience like?
Okay, so let's see. Soviet Union is a communist country. A lot of rules, a lot of hard times. Let's see, my mom and my dad were very young. They met, and my mom was 16 when she had me. My dad was 17. They couldn't be together because due to their religion, my dad was Jewish and my mom was Russian. And it was not acceptable at the time, I guess. So there was a lot of fighting. My mom ended up being alone and needed help and was kind of forced to take me to an orphanage. So I grew up in an orphanage, even though I had a mom, but I would go on the weekends to, visit home. Yeah. So
okay, so pretty much the orphanage is responsible for making sure you're going to school, feeding you, and
yeah, it was traumatic, to tell you the truth. Orphanage in the Soviet Union, you witness a lot of the word poverty, mistreatment. I mean, I've seen crazy things that are done to kids by the teachers and other kids, older kids, at nighttime especially. So it's hard, it's tough. Yeah.
All right. So what? Was I cutting you off?
No.
Okay. So
sucking
what?
all this information in right now.
I'm trying to hear myself the way I sound and just get used to this whole thing.
So now we're present day. We're in the U.S. So how was that transition coming from the USSR over here? Tell me that story. Why are we sitting at this table today?
Why are we sitting here? I am a domestic violence survivor, and I am here to talk about it, to inspire, to be an example, to share. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Let's see, when I was in Soviet Union, I did lose my mom when I was 12 years old. I didn't know my dad much, and my dad was kind of forced to come and get me from the orphanage, and that's how I ended up being in America, which I'm very grateful for. But we didn't have much of a relationship with my dad. So when I got here, it was actually long travels because we went through immigration, which was through Austria, and we stayed there, and then we were moving to Italy. From Italy, we got denied so many times, so we stayed there for a year and a half, and then we finally got here, and that was like a big shock, cultural shock, especially I think the schools, huge schools. Just everything was a lot, and I was missing my mom. Wasn't close with my dad. I had a stepmom at a time, and thanks to her, why we came here. And I came here. I was actually staying with my stepmom's family, and my uncle, her brother, would molest me while talking about my mom's death. So that shit was hard, and yeah, I was dealing with that when I came to America.
So now let me ask you this: like, did you gain any like, because, all right, I'm gonna work on the whole like. I keep saying the whole little like, but with all that trauma and everything, right? Do you feel like you earned some superpowers? Because I mean, you're still alive today, and I'm pretty sure that's. I think when you're talking about tough situations like that, I think it's always cool to highlight the silver lining behind it, right? Because a lot of people could have, they probably, could have been in a different situation. Here you are telling this story, you know what I mean? So I think that's itself. I'm pretty sure you have like some like secret powers, you know what I mean?
There's
like,
no secret powers.
No, what is it? Some good vodka?
I'm fucking so grateful for everything that has happened to me, because now I appreciate it, because the way I appreciate life, it's on a different level every moment of it. I feel life and love for it in every cell of my body. It's energy. It's literally circling, and without all of it happening, I wouldn't be able to enjoy it the way I enjoy it. And the gratitude that I feel for every little thing, things like being in the bathroom alone, being able to close the door. I wasn't allowed to do that. Waking up in my bed alone and stretching and making a choice of what I'm going to eat today and what I'm going to do. And even parking in my parking lot and holding the keys and walking to the front door and opening it and knowing that it's my shelter and it's my life. That gratitude that I think people forget to appreciate every little thing that I feel now, and I'm grateful for everything that has happened to me. So I'm able to enjoy it that way.
So with all these feelings, how's your vision looking like, as far as like what do you see right now as your vision moving forward in life? After going through all these things, now you have control of all these things that before you didn't. So now all this pain, all these different things going on, what's going on in your brain as far as what's the future looking like?
That's a lot, because I'm literally living in the moment.
Okay.
I'm allowing things to happen. I am here to inspire people. I am here to just be an example. And I think more importantly, it's for my son. I do have an 18-year-old son. And this whole journey started because of him, because I realized that I've passed on the same coping skills that were passed on to me, and they were completely wrong. But let's see, like
so when you say that they were passed on to him, like meaning like it was subconsciously you were doing things that you went through and you were putting that person through that, or elaborate on that.
Everybody goes through same cycles until we break that generational, right? And that's what was happening. But again, it took me a while to even get to this point, right? Like I came to America, and the way I met my abuser. I don't know if I should go kind of into that, because anyways, I met my abuser. We hung out with other people around us. I wasn't emotionally mature to notice any red flags. I'm not sure where I'm going with this, but what I'm trying to say is,
he got you.
I was asked on a date, and my first date ended up really bad, and I was beaten on that first date. I was tortured the whole fucking night.
Were you talking verbally or
physically
and verbally?
Verbally, my life changed. I was 17 years old. My English was not that great. I didn't have papers. And it happened to me. It was a big trauma. I didn't even know who to go to. I wasn't close enough with my dad to even go and tell him I was scared of him. And kind of basically kidnapped.
How old was this guy?
He is 5 years older than me.
Okay.
So yeah, I ended up being there for a painful 28 years. 19 years ago, he did attempt to kill me, and he was arrested for attempted murder, but not charged. And that is a whole nother conversation, I think. The court system and the unfairness here, and what money can do. So he did have money, and he did get off. And my case didn't even go inside the courtroom. It was basically dealt with DA privately with his very expensive attorney. And I was basically kidnapped right back into that situation. And after that, I think I lost all the hope. And I did have my son and stayed another 18 years.
Wow. Did you, during this whole ordeal, I don't think anyone ever imagines being in a situation like you have been in. Did you ever blame yourself?
I don't know if you can blame yourself. I mean, thing is, you know it's wrong and you can't get out. It's not just the physical abuse. There's a lot of gaslighting, manipulation, control, shaming. Control on a level of everything. I mean, there's cameras, there's GPS, who you talk to on the phone, who you follow, what I wasn't allowed to be on the social media, what you watch on TV. It's beyond like control of the money, control. So it's a control in every possible way. Like I said, I wasn't even allowed to close the doors in the bathroom, because if I would close the door and I would be there too long, you're like, what the fuck are you hiding in it? So it was never safe, and you're constantly afraid. So your body, your mind, you're in constant fight, flight, or freeze. And it's scary, because you look into his face, or you look at the things, just like it's like your survival skill. I don't know how to explain it. Every moment, all you do is just be in fear. It's so tense. My hands are literally soaking wet just remembering that. So it's not something like people, I believe, have a judgment with women. Why do they stay? Why can't they leave? Or
Right.
there's, being a victim of something like that. Again, it's not, it's in a different level of control, so it's mental, and then your body becomes so dense, your brain cannot take any information, and you're just stuck in constant fight, flight, or freeze mode. There's no minute or moment. You don't know what a moment is now. It doesn't exist for people like that. It's literally like a war zone, torture chamber on fucking daily, basis.
Do you feel like part of your upbringing was kind of a huge essential tool? Not obviously it was a fucked up situation, right? But I'm saying like a way for you to be able to deal with the stuff that you went through as you got older. I mean, do you think that kind of helped to build that thick skin?
I don't think it was thick skin. I think it's just, that's all my soul and my heart knew. I knew it was not okay. But where I was, there was no way out. I tried. I literally tried in every possible way. So, they say what's in your heart, you attract. I don't know if I attracted that, but I know there was a lot of pain, and there was a lot of anger. And obviously, when I kind of had my realization, I had to face myself and face my shadows. And where I was okay with it for that long. It's not like that you're okay with it. It's just there's something that's different where it's enough. It's enough.
Can you describe your aha moment, like where you just realize like shit, like I need to like new course of action?
There was a lot of them, but the main part, I mean, was my health, my son's health. I was addicted to alcohol, escaping. I was 190 pounds. I was extremely sick. I had a discoloration on my face, literally like a mask on the forehead and under my eyes. My stomach was extremely swollen. My knees were swollen. I couldn't walk. I mean, I couldn't go down in the toilet and get off. That shit was painful. And all of the inflammations, I guess the tensions, right? We all feel it. There's not enough, happy chemical in our brain, and it just makes our body sick. I mean, it went down into my foot. My foot was so swollen. I couldn't drive. I couldn't walk. I couldn't push the paddle. This shit was crazy. My son was almost 300 pounds, literally like dying. He had a 70-year-old man's liver disease. It was painful, and it was the most painful part is, I think, because you're holding back your voice and you're not allowed to speak about anything. You're not allowed to cry. And even if things happen and you're beaten, your child is beaten, and you want to talk about it, you want to express it, you want to discuss it, you're not allowed, because it would be like, bitch, it wasn't enough. Fucking talk shit. You want to say something? Put on a fucking happy face. Like, shit was crazy, right? So you have to hold in all the pain, and I think my son and I, when we did have moments alone, we're very close because life just forced us to be. We didn't have anybody else, to discuss the things that you also groomed to act a certain way, or, around people, or Child Protective Services would come to your house. You also groomed to protect him, and, so there's a lot of holding inside, a lot of fucking secrets, right? A lot of pain that you're not allowed to fucking express. So it just manifests into this sickness in your body, and it's killing you, literally alive, because you're not allowed to speak. So I think my health really pushed me to the edge where I knew that I had to save myself. I was dying, and my son was dying. And when COVID hit, I was actually already on Instagram. I was controlled who I follow, who was following me, who I socialize with. But there was this Dr. Shafali, and she was speaking about conscious parenting. And at the time, and the conscious parenting was, if you want to see, your children and who they are. Children are our children, are our mirrors. And that hit me like nothing ever before. And then she was also doing viral wisdom classes during the time, and talking about being present in this moment and what it is to even be in this moment and having gratitude. And I never heard these words before. I didn't know there's a now moment exists. And it was just so fucking powerful. And I would hide, literally, I remember, in the bathroom or anywhere where I could listen, in my son's room. Like I said, I wasn't allowed to even close the doors in the bathroom, but just to hear her when she would come on, and I would literally practice whatever she was saying. And for somebody who has PTSD, like I said, and they're constantly in fight, flight, and freeze mode, there is no now moment. And for me, it became a fucking crazy challenge that I needed to do. And I would literally look at my feet, and there would be just so much fear and so much intense, so many thoughts. And I would just tell myself, okay, this is it. It's only this foot, this step, this foot, this step. And I would do it nonstop. It would take up all my fucking time. Every moment of my life at that time, I would fight to come back to this moment. And I would look out the window, anything, and like, oh my God, I know it's just this leaf and it's just moving, nothing else. I can't predict what he's doing. I can't predict what he's thinking. If it's my next moment to die, next moment, I'm willing to take it. And the more I practiced, the more I became like, okay, there's now. And then the gratitude, I think, really did it for me. It's when you do have PTSD and you're in that kind of situation, your brain doesn't take in any information. You're also lost in speaking. You lose the way you express yourself. If you listen to women who are victims and domestic violence, they usually don't even make sense, the things that they say, because it's just everything is wired completely different in them due to all the traumas. So it was hard for me to take on any information or express myself. And I think gratitude I would practice, and for me it became every morning literally naming each of my body, because it was so hard to find the things to be grateful for. But my body, even though sick and horrible, like as sick as it was, I would still name each of my body parts and go through it and be grateful for it. And then my sons. And the more I did it, I know it sounds silly, but it cleared up my brain. It's as if God picked me up and slammed me, and I could fucking think again. And I knew the next steps, and there was information coming in. I don't know how to explain it. It was fucking beautiful. So when I say gratitude, we practice gratitude. Yeah, it's great to say things like I'm grateful. But when you practice it and you're actually grateful to the point that you feel the gratitude with every fiber of your body, this is when you feel your life force circling in you. And this is the gratitude. It's fucking delicious. I cry from it. And again, and it's due to all the shit that happened to me. I'm able to how do you say, tap into it. Yeah.
I mean, but you're here today.
Yes, I'm fucking
You're here
here,
today.
and I'm alive,
Your shit's
and
deep.
I'm
Your
grateful.
shit's deep. Like, I mean,
and
it's
fuck, I'm
and it's
40.
amazing.
Thank you guys.
It's
I'm learning
amazing.
to even take it this
like
in.
it almost like gives you the chills, like just hearing you, because like there's a lot of emotion behind that. And I think that's the crazy part, that we're like a huge emotion machine. We're all are as humans,
Right.
we tend to dwell on emotions, and sometimes that's kind of what ruins your clarity. And I think that once you are able to balance both, and be able to just like, man, just let shit go sometimes, like because at the end of the day, every day is a new opportunity for a better beginning. You know what I mean? And I think
That's right,
that's the hard part, that we get so consumed with what we feel, and what like, we could always say this is unfair, this is that, right? But the truth behind it is that those things are kind of meant to make you stronger, because you have a bigger task, and your task just getting bigger and bigger, and I think challenging yourself to be like, I'm not gonna quit, because I think that how many successful people do you hear that quitted? Everybody, I think, at one point got rejected by life. And I think that you never hear about the people that, that quitted. You know what I mean? You never hear about those people, because, they quit. And I think that failure is only going to happen if you quit. So being able to truck it, even though, everything like just seems deep, like, I congratulations. you definitely.
You're talking about emotions, I didn't even know.
You have like a purple star in my eyes, for
Thank
sure.
you.
Yeah, that's like brave.
Thank you, but
Like shit.
you're talking about emotions and feelings, right? Most of people don't know that, especially survivors, and I don't know who's gonna hear this right now. I didn't know that emotions pass, and those are feelings. This is, again, all of this information that I had to learn and practice. And it's not just learning, this information. And for me, it was a fucking new thing. Oh my God, fear could pass, and fear only lasts a minute, and like whatever, anger, and you can just sit and breathe and feel it, and it's okay to feel it. All of this information, again, I was learning on Viral Wisdom, which I think is for free, and anybody could access Dr. Shafali's, thing. But again, they don't know these things. It overwhelms you. It takes over the fear. There's so much fucking fear, you guys. It ate me fucking alive. It ate my child alive. So when you're talking about emotions, I think we need to tell people that those are emotions and they pass, and it's okay to feel them, right? people don't know about these things. So to me, it was a whole like, what the fuck, literally. And you made me fight him. Not like fight him, but I spoke my truth. And realizing that there's only now and we can't predict the future or the present. And I mean, the past doesn't exist. You know, when you're in PTSD, that shit does not click because there's just so much. It's so fucking intense and you're in so much fear. So just practicing that for domestic violence or anybody, you know, any victims, this information is a fucking, I believe it's gold. So yeah, without that information, it's just, it's really fucking tough because you're in fear that's just taken over you. Everything, over your soul, over your voice, over your mind. You're just frozen it. Yeah. So yeah.
But let me ask you this. At this point, do you consider yourself a victim or a survivor?
I'm definitely a survivor. And I don't want to say I'm a victim. I'm not a fucking victim of anything. And again, I signed up for it. And I signed up for it, like, right? We all just knowing this information that we all chose this life. And I thank you for saying that. You know, I respect that. I'm learning to respect that. I think Mother Ayahuasca actually helped me to learn to respect myself and everything that my journey, you know, face it and like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, and it's a different, like, deep respect for what I've been through and all the humans and everybody that we're here, but, and everything that we're doing, you know. Again, there's no price on pain, I believe, at all. We all have pain. We all have traumas. It could be small. It affects us differently, each person. So I just,
well, I think when you become a victim, I think that's the part where you block yourself from growing, you know?
I don't know
shit
about
happens.
Block. It shit happens. But you know,
shit happens.
When
You know
you're
what I mean?
17, you don't even know these things. Like, I'm sorry not to interrupt.
No.
You know, there's like, I didn't know anything about giving up or keep going, or I don't know how to explain it. You're just like, you're 17. I didn't have a mom. I didn't have anybody. Like, it's I don't know how to describe it. Sometimes you can't find the words.
But you see that's the thing. Like you like you just said right now, you're a survivor. You're not a victim. No. I think that's the problem. Like when you become a victim, you know, you're only going to be a victim of yourself, right? You're not going to be a victim of nobody. You're not going to be a victim of, like, you know, getting slapped around. No, you're going to be a victim of when it's like that. There's a saying that the bully is only a bully until the weak lets him. You know what I mean? Like, if that makes any sense. Like, basically, you can put a stop to anything in life, right? It just depends of what approach you're going to take. And I think that the fact that you don't call yourself a victim, that's huge, because a lot of people will live their whole life as a victim and never be able to get out of that, you know, situation, like, mentally, because I'm pretty sure,
for sure,
like, we're all going to die. So why would you want to live your life, you know, in so much stress and so much pain, you know, because it's like you're not giving yourself a chance to actually turn things around and say, hey, I survived. And just hearing you out and hearing the pain and the emotions behind it, that's respectable. Because, you know, nowadays everybody just wants to just drug themselves and get in that whole little situation of, like, and I'm not talking about recreation, like weed. I'm not talking about weed. I'm just talking about, like, you know, a lot of, you know, pharmaceutical companies are making a lot of money, to say the least, right?
I want not to cut you off. I want to, so we know what you've been through, right? Mm-hmm. And now I'm pretty sure there are times where there was a period of time, I don't know if you still experience it, but like certain triggers, you know, some things like bring about anxiety or make you uncomfortable. When you realize that, like, you were free of him in that situation, what did you do to celebrate? Like, what was tell me about
you're
that.
You're talking about, like, free.
When the weight fell off your shoulders, you was like, yo,
I'm taking a shot.
I did.
You know what? I don't know if you're, like, it's it's the mental. It's you who is free. It's not exactly like there was no shots. I think I'm just celebrating every moment of life, not being next to him. And life is life, and I don't want to label it like shit doesn't happen. Yeah, I mean, I just feel like anything is possible as long as I'm not next to the abuser. There are triggers, right? There's just so much to talk about. I have a complex PTSD. My son has a complex PTSD. And
Can you describe that? Like what's
complex PTSD is something that it's a post-traumatic stress disorder, but when it's complex, it means it happened to you all the time over years on daily basis. And that's what we both suffer from. But, there are so many tools, there's so many classes, there's so many breathing techniques that I have to practice. That I don't think it ever comes to an end where like, oh, okay, I'm healed and I'm free and this and that. Like, it's something that you wake up and you choose to do. You choose to come back to you. There's, I don't know about triggers. Like, what do you mean?
Like how before we began recording, you said normally I like to sit facing the door. So
yeah,
things like that.
Yeah.
Things that kind of make you uncomfortable.
I still have to watch if I'm being followed or not. I have to be extremely careful about things. I have always a backup plan that I have to go over with my therapist, with attorneys. Again, my fight for my freedom took me 1 year and 4 months. And like I said, that would probably have to be a different podcast just to talk about the court system and what it is for domestic violence survivors. There are 4,000 women killed every year and die due to domestic violence, and 75% of them die during leaving the abuser or afterwards.
Did you take any like self-defense classes or anything like that?
No.
Carry a Glock or some shit?
I
got this.
I'm ready for
I do
him.
have pepper spray. I tend not to give fear so much, how do you say,
Power.
time? Yeah,
Yeah.
power. Thank you. Sometimes I need that help with English words.
No, I got you.
Yes, and just staying present, right? And again, that was the big thing for me, is fighting him and telling him the truth and saying, hey, I'm in this moment and I don't care what happens next. If I'm meant to die, I will fucking die. But I will not stand this, on another moment on this planet without speaking up for myself, my son, for injustice. And I feel like I'm speaking up for all the women, for all the children and men, whoever, going through this, being a victim. So it is a scary thing. Being here speaking about this is a fucking trigger. And this is why I said there's certain things that I might have to slow down and just breathe and come back to me. But again, I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful for my health. I know I spoke about being overweight and being extremely ill, and my son. I just wanted to say also, when I spoke the truth, it was for my son to see it, and he followed. He spoke the truth. And again, my son was almost 300 pounds. Right now, he is 175, and that weight melted off by speaking the truth and by removing, by running away from the reality that was extremely painful. And the painful reality makes you want to escape, right? We, like you were talking about, escaping with things, drugs and alcohol, food, all of it, making us sick, just like anything, not to feel these emotions, not to feel these feelings. Children are escaping with food because that is
Hot Cheetos does it for you.
Oh shit, there was everything.
Hot Cheetos does it.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm happily to say, like, my son literally dropped off all the weight. There's no even loose skin, just his body like went into, he's this beautiful fucking human being under all that. The same thing for me. Fuck, I just lost it all and can't believe my skin. I'm 46. I feel better than ever. I think I feel better than I was when I was 17.
So what do you guys do to celebrate? Because
I know
you didn't say that part. We want to know the happy stuff.
Every moment, every morning that I wake up in freedom, in my own fucking shelter with all the choices, that is the celebration.
Really? No shot, no ayahuasca hit, no.
No, ayahuasca is something that I waited a while. A blunt, I do smoke a lot actually.
Yeah.
I rolled
spark
one
it up. Hey,
that
every day is...
it up. Yeah, every moment is a fucking celebration. Every moment, like you said, waking up and not being next to this person and having a chance of life, right? Another chance every time I wake up is rebirth, and choosing a different way is a fucking celebration. You know, being here is a celebration, you guys.
Oh, for sure.
Is there any like settings, like concerts or anything like where there's a lot of people where you just like, nah, I'm cool?
You know what? I wanted to be with me. Like, that was the new thing for me. That was the celebration, is loving me and learning how to love me and cradling myself. There's a lot of fucking trauma and shit that is there, right? Yeah, so, yeah.
You're alive, though. You know what I mean? You're alive.
That is the celebration, you know? So
you're alive.
I'm not big on going, like, you know, partying and all that. I have beautiful friends that were sent to me during this journey again, and it's very important for domestic violence survivors when they are going through this not to isolate themselves, and that's what they do, because there is again a lot of stigma and shaming, right, and judging women and why they stay in these situations.
But I think it could go both ways, though, right? I mean, I think there's a lot of guys that are getting beat, and they don't say it. And you can't really say anything because you're going to be like, oh, shit, like, you know, suck it up, dude. Yeah. Like, you know, you probably deserved it. But I think it doesn't have a gender, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And
I'm with you on that.
And I think that's the part where, just like the Me Too movement, you know, we need to have a movement for guys that are obviously getting beat.
Well, that,
you know what I mean?
I don't think like that movement wasn't like gender specific, bro. So that, you know, but I get what you're saying, right? You know, it's not gender specific. You know what I'm saying? Abuse is abuse, and it can come in any way, shape, fashion, or form. But what I want to touch on is you didn't do this by yourself, right? So, you know, I know you're close with your son. So do you have that support group? Do you know?
Like
right
somebody
now,
you text, like, yeah, I'm losing my shit.
Yeah.
Like,
who's your go-to? I do. I am. There's a lot of resources. Again, when I ran with my son, I did not have anybody's phone number. My son left with nothing. I had a few trash bags of clothes. There's, again, with that practice, in that moment, you realize there's faith, right? And it's all new to me. And there's new, like, there's universe, God, whatever you call it, something about it, which was, I was never exposed to any of it or any of this information or any of this practice. And when you have that, it's not like, I don't know, it forces you to trust. And when you're literally in the now moment and there's no future, you do trust, and it literally provides you. So when I left, my phone was broken, the same thing with my son's. And I said, who's like meant to, the only thing I think I was the saddest about is my pictures, which I have none. But who's ever meant to find me will find me. Again, I wasn't allowed to have a social life much, but God provided me people at the time that would take me in, and resources that I would call, that I would always be so scared to call. And they would help out of their way, you know. There was shelter that was always found for me, and food and clothes, and it was literally miracles. And at the same time, there was courts going on, and you think like you're getting a restraining order and you're speaking the truth, which you do. You're not being heard. And when somebody's paying $500 to $700, dollars an hour to attorneys, which my abuser did, fought me for a year and 4 months for the truth to prevail. And again, I did not have attorneys, I did not have money, but universe provided that to me. And this time, like 19 years ago, when I, went into court and I was alone, this time I wasn't. And I had amazing organizations that literally took on my cases, and I'm extremely grateful to them. They fought so hard for us. Child Protective Services, in my case, also was extremely helpful. I ended up getting a tattoo that says grateful, and it's dedicated to the people that fought for me, the domestic violence. I think all the domestic violence groups were literally fighting for me and my son.
That's dope.
So what are some red flags that you see, like, especially to our audience that could be potentially going through that? What are some, like, key red flags that you're like, shit, run?
I mean, obviously, right, the control and the abuse. But I think it all starts with you. So if you're not okay inside, those red flags I don't think will mean anything, because if you're used to being treated like that, or you think, your heart, that's what you're used to, you're just going to accept it. You don't know any better,
But let's just say if we're talking to a 17-year-old you, what tip would want to know to be able to
I don't know, 17, like me, 17
So
year old
you
was not emotionally, like, how do you say?
So what would you tell a 17-year-old right now?
We all know when we go out and something is wrong. It's listening to your intuition and actually fucking saying no, and standing by that no, and not being a people pleaser, not being like, okay, I'm going to do these things because, it is my survival and I need people to like me, and this is what is expected of me, right? It's finding that courage inside to fucking say no, to speak up, to, find help, and,
Is there like a go-to number to, like, for our audience to, like,
Yes, I mean, I actually put, I wrote down the National Domestic Violence Hotline always works. The reason why I can't do like the specific exactly, because, domestic violence survivors are protected, how do you say English word, very privately, because, sorry, I'm like having a hard time.
It's like confidential.
Confidential, thank you. Because so when you call, you give them your zip code, and they will lead you to the right direction. There's no judgment.
That's what I was actually going to ask you, because sometimes I feel like there's a lot of people that don't speak up because they don't want to be judged, or they don't want to be dramatic, or better yet, they don't want to put their stuff out there. And I think there's some organizations out there sometimes that maybe are a little bit not very, I want to say, there's not a lot of empathy. And I think that people get discouraged because of that. So what would you say in those situations, like where people don't feel like they're being heard?
It was all a first to me. Calling, using my voice, even speaking, I mean.
Did you say your real name and everything?
I'm sorry?
Did you say your real name, like, and everything? Like, you were like, or you were just like.
I just, even calling any of these resources, again, you think that they're going to report you, that there's going to make things worse. Right. And you're so scared. Again, domestic violence survivors isolate themselves, and the most important thing to do is not to isolate yourself, because you need that support group. And again, they are confidential. The one that I was able to connect to was Sojourn, and it's a project of the people concerned. And they were extremely resourceful. I mean, there's so many resources, you guys. Once you make that call, I'm letting you know, please call. My first phone call probably sounded so crazy. I did not make sense at all of what I was saying, what I was explaining. They were patient. They did. They understood what I was saying. They knew that women call there and they usually don't make sense, because your story is all over the place, because your brain is all over the place. Right. You can't express yourself. You're in so much fear. So they are patient with you. They understand you. There is no judgment. And again, they won't report in unless if it's like life and death situation, you know, and they will go to extreme to help you. And again, it's not just for the shelter. People, I believe, think also, okay, I need to call because I need a place to live, or, you know, I need to get away. Yes, they're there to help you with that, but there's so many different resources. There's toolkit classes. They help you with, you know, support groups. My therapy that I'm grateful for, that is my to-go person. They have provided me, I mean, there's just so much. So what I'm saying is, don't be scared. Don't isolate yourself, because that is the worst thing that you can do for yourself, is isolate and be ashamed of it, because you're just going to end up right back in the same situation. That strength that you're looking for, that guidance of things to do, not to engage, and it is hard. It is extremely hard. I don't know if I'm making sense the way I'm expressing myself about being you know, in that PTSD like mindset in your body. There is no space. You can't, it is extremely hard to explain, but yeah, please do reach out. Also, there's the laclj.org, and they also helped me a lot with my courts, but they also help. There's just over 8% of survivors in LA become homeless after leaving their abuser. And one of their current new programs is actually serving the unhoused survivors. And again, they also help with legal, and that's their main mission. And all of these resources are just incredible. And I'm grateful to be in America, because all of them I used, and including food stamps and including cash aid. And I'm beyond grateful for all of it.
Is there anything
Yeah.
that you would do different with the knowledge that you have today?
I don't want to say anything different. No, nothing. Everything was a lesson in its own perfect way, designed. Push me to the next level, to believe in the next level, to trust the next level, to prevail myself to the next level, to you know, my health, to removing the densities. You know, when people were talking about energy, and I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about? What energy? You know, and then when I started my practicing of gratitude and coming back into this moment, even if it took me fucking exhausting every fucking moment of it, but I would fight it until I got there, and it's all practice.
What are things that you feel like helped you gain that confidence to, you know?
I mean, there's so many practices, and like I said, the resources, you know, when you're in that situation and you do become trusting of it, and you are in this moment, all these things are given to you. Like, there was special tools that would pop up on my phone for my vagus nerve to heal. There was special like sound bath that I was never being exposed to, and breathing techniques that was special for PTSD, and somehow I ended up being there. And then there was another person who was given to me like to talk about, you know, I don't know, the universe just kept giving me things to keep going and healing. Again, I cleared up. I don't watch TV. I don't watch news. You know,
Can you tell us about your ayahuasca experience?
ayahuasca.
Let's hear that.
Yeah, you know, it was calling my name, I think, for a while. But again, my journey with fighting my abuser for a year and 4 months in court, and when it came to an end, my son actually, you know, the case was just crazy. He was fighting for the custody, even though my son had a restraining order against him. The restraining order expired, and the law wasn't used. The judge was bought. I mean, I just want to go into it, but then I don't. It makes me angry. And then my son our cases got separated. My son did win a 5-year restraining order against his father. And when it finally came to an end, like I said, the healing stuff would come to what was next. And literally a friend that I met a while ago reached out and said, hey, we're doing this journey. And my first journey was actually a mushroom and MDMA, and it was also with an 8-hour of sound bath. And it came to me, and it was affordable. It was here, and it was calling my name, and I knew I'm going for it. And I did. I went by myself. I love doing everything by myself. I love being with me. So when you said like celebrate, go out, no, that is my celebration, is being with me, doing things like that. Let's
get on some mushrooms and that way I'm down.
So anyways, that was quite an experience, and my body really needed it, and just melted into the Mother Earth. And I think for domestic violence survivors, PTSD, it's a lot in your body. I mean, you constantly feel so much pain. I mean, it's so much better now, but there's just such a tension that I don't think a lot of people even understand, like the density, the tension. So anyways, that journey was incredible. You completely go within, you lay down, you with your eyes closed, and it was really gentle on me. I remember I was yawning a lot, and I believe that was my release instead of crying. And I was completely present. And those 8 hours literally felt like 2 hours for some, even less, I feel. But I was melted into my
Did you see anything crazy?
You know, I did not see anything crazy. I think I was...
Colorful though, right?
I don't know, it was colorful. It was all about your feelings.
Okay.
It was a bunch of yummy, delicious feelings. At times they were not yummy and delicious. And sometimes I had to breathe really hard to let go. But again, during that year and 4 months before I did any of these, psychedelic journeys, I would practice it on a daily basis. And because there was hard times at the same time, it would force me to push myself even harder to be practice at present. So I think didn't need so much of a psychedelics to be where, like, calm, to be present, to be able to breathe, to feel my body, to be in tune, to feel my life force, to feel my energy literally circling from my, I don't know, what do you want to call it, breathing it in through your sex organ and traveling up your spine and coming out of your fucking head. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And I could literally crack my own spine and my neck now. And,
What do you mean? You weren't cracking before?
No.
Is that what it was?
No,
like,
but you know what? I know I'm going a little bit off subject, but there was this moment for me that my chiropractor also, again, sent to me by God, and they had a lot to do with my healing, the same thing with my acupuncturist. But he said to me that when we're in our mother's womb, we actually develop our spine, then we develop our gut, then we develop everything else. So that is the reason why it is our first brain is our gut. So our emotions, our memories, everything we feel in our gut, right? So we all know that, right? But now it made sense why it is our first brain. So, and from there, I think really made me understand the correct way and what it is the correct way to breathe. So we all breathe, I think going down and we stop like halfway there. And there's no air literally traveling to our stomach. So I had to learn to breathe, which we all should take time to do, is blowing our stomach out when we're actually breathing in. And when we're breathing it out, we are taking it in, in. So the air is supposed to travel in our gut first and then travel up into our lungs and then, coming out. And what it does is actually when it travels through our organs, the pains that we feel in our shoulders, in our spines, and then tell me if I'm not making any sense.
No, I'm digging it.
When I've learned to do it and I could feel my energy and travel, like move the air through my organs, there's certain organs that are still holding certain traumas, but I could literally hear them popping. You know how our intestines is like little balls? So literally popping blocks. But once it travels and pops, I could feel it going into the pains in my shoulder, into the spine where it's holding those traumas, and I could literally crack it and I could unravel it. And that's where I was going earlier, like physics and, vibes and energies. I hope I hope I don't sound crazy, but it's something that I'm experiencing again. And if I can do it, anybody could fucking do it. None of this information was given to me. I am from Russia. There's, communist country. No, not from
You guys
I'm
have
from
vodka,
Ukraine.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, but
For
there
that.
was, none of this was practiced. None of this, like, no religion, no God. We were not, communist country. So there was no exposure to any of this information, right? Any energy. But when it all started happening to me and I would feel energy in my hands and then in my head, and there was so much density in my stomach because there was so much illness. And, that took me almost a year and 4 months to also, healthy foods and getting in tune with my body and knowing what I could process and what is okay. And again, a lot of like domestic violence survivors, any survivors suffer with gut issues. And that is our number one, thing. We hold it all in the gut. So slowly I started doing the, researching what will work with my body. There's certain spices that I use that has been part of this healing, and it's incredible because there's that density cleared up in my stomach, and there's literally life force moving in, and I could move it, and I could fucking literally travel with it up my spine and crack and heal and go into the places and direct my energy, my love flowing into those spots and open them up. I don't know if I'm making any sense. Maybe I'm sharing too much.
I see you have a little bag of crystals. I'm pretty sure, like, can you?
I'm so new to all of this. I don't know, but I do feel their energy. I can't tell you which crystals they are.
Give me everything you got.
A lot of them were given to me by my new friends.
You're like, I'm carrying this whole bag.
Today I'm bringing my whole bag because
blocking all the names.
I don't know if it's blocking, but I feel them.
No, it's
I know, like, to me, they're still just little, rocks. I feel their energy, right? I know they're alive. But I can't tell you much about them. I just
as long as it keeps you, from,
it keeps my vibes going.
Yeah,
like,
keep your aura fresh and that's all we need, just block all the bullshit.
That's right.
One thing I wanted to touch on before, because we're getting almost close to the end. I noticed you shared a post. You had like a speaking engagement that you did. I saw something. You was on the stage behind a microphone. Can you tell us a little bit about that and like how does it make you feel? You know what I'm saying? Standing up there and speaking your experiences to those who listen. I mean, because like I find you to be pretty amazing. You know what I'm saying? Your story is incredible. But I think what you did and what I think that represented, you being up there and sharing, I just want to know how that makes you feel when you get up there. And tell us about that experience.
I wanted to always do this, and on my ayahuasca trip, we didn't get to talk about that, but yeah, it was shown to me, and ayahuasca really showed me a lot, and where I could, I've learned to have a different level of compassion for myself and everybody else. But yes, I was invited to speak at a gala in Los Angeles Center for Law and Justice in front of 400 people to share my story. And that was powerful. That was my first time speaking about it. But the most powerful thing to me is that I was able to use my voice to raise $350,000 for the domestic violence survivors and sexual trafficking, which kind of makes me feel, I don't know how to even describe. So it's the gratitude because they helped me beyond words. These people taking on my case and prevailing my truth and fighting for me. These people do it like with no charge. It made me feel for the first time heard, and I got a standing ovation, and it made me feel powerful and courageous. I still look back and I'm like, fuck, I did that. But it was healing in a lot of ways. It was draining in a lot of ways because I got to actually hear my story. Every time I speak of it or write a speech about it, you kind of hear yourself, whoa, I was that person. I'm the one who went through it, and I'm the one who is here and prevailed to the other side. So it's an honor, and I wish I could do more of this to be speaking on, when I speak of it, I feel like I'm speaking for all the victims and that don't have that chance to speak. So very grateful for that experience, and thank you for asking about it.
Nice. GQ?
No, I mean, I think you're worthy of like a Tupac tattoo, like Thug Life. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't choose the life; it chose me. You know, that's pretty cool.
Thank you, brother.
But like, with everything that was said today, I think we live in an era where it's more about entertainment versus information. I hope that this episode we could do both, and we could, get our little laughs, but at the same time listen to the things that were said in this episode. I think due to the nature of the topics that we're talking about, I think it's important to don't feel ashamed, and just listen to what works and throw other stuff away, whatever you want to do, but just keep us in mind that we're here to inform and try to entertain as much as we could. So
For sure. Ladies and gentlemen, we're coming to the end of our show. We want to thank you for tuning in today, listening, viewing. But as I always do, we're going to keep it a buck. I always open up the microphone to our guests, to the other half of the show. And we're going to start with Miss Stella. Is there something you would like to share with the viewers and the listeners? A little nugget?
Just take one moment at a time, one step at a time, because that's all there is. Literally, that's all there is. And don't give up. And practice. Practice makes everything, make shit happen. So if you want to be present, practice being present. If you want to be just be the change that we all want, right? We all talk about doing this and that, but nobody wants to do anything about it. So that was the whole thing for me. Be the change that you want and act in it, and be an example. For my son especially, didn't want to talk anymore, because everything that comes out of our mouth, I think they hear it as fucking bullshit and hypocrite, because we are. So just less talk, more action, set an example, don't give up, believe in yourself. We are our own healers. We have all the answers, and enjoy life.
All right. Thank you for that.
GQ Nesto.
Shit, I just want to say, like, hop on those self-defense classes, you know what I mean? Like, start learning how to beat the shit out of someone back, if somebody beats you.
How do you know? I know.
You know what I mean? Like, you got to strike back too, or get yourself a Glock, But that's all I could say. Don't be a victim. Be a survivor,
Yeah, we have a choice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice. And Stella had touched on something as far as the abdomen, the stomach being that first brain, right? That first sense, right? So she also touched on that we know when something feels uncomfortable. And if you are in a situation where you're getting that tingling feeling normally it comes to your gut, at least I can only speak for myself, something is not right. All right, try to remove yourself from the situation the best to your abilities. And if you are finding yourself in that situation, please reach out, get help, find someone. Someone is out there who cares, will be of assistance. So she shares some information and some ways you can go and find those resources. Please reach out if it's you. But we thank you. We love you. Please check for us on all our social media platforms. I'm your boy, Drew. We are Option 4 Podcast. We're out.